What's up, everybody? What is cracking? It's Ace. Welcome in, and welcome to the first stream of the MLB season. Excited to come over some stuff. Let me screen share this. As you jump in, feel free to drop a comment, hit the like button, pound some hearts, whatever it is that you like to do to express yourself. As I said, I'm going to jump in and share a screen here real quick so we can talk some baseball. Of today is to talk baseball, to talk with you, see where you're going at, see what your thoughts are, how your team's doing, and look forward to the upcoming week. So I want to start off with the news of Vladimir Guerrero's extension, $500 million from the Toronto Blue Jays. Massive extension, absolutely massive extension. And the reality of it is he worth it? It could be. I mean, the challenge is, so if you want my my breakdown on this, absolutely not. He's definitely not worth $500 million. Is Juan Soto worth $700 million? Absolutely not. But Vladimir Guerrero was a guy who should have been a $300 million player based on his upside and his age, not necessarily the consistency of his production. But the Blue Jays have got stumped every time they have tried to sign a big free agent. And the only thing they could really do, and Vladimir Guerrero obviously took advantage of this and said, you're going to give me $500,000. I'm sorry, $500 million. And the Blue Jays said, okay. It's going to make them it's going to make it really challenging for the Blue Jays to competitively field teams moving forward with that albatross that is Vladimir Guerrero's contract. But, for better or worse, what they should do, what they should have already done, but what they definitely need to do moving forward with Vladdy is they need to adjust the ballpark dimensions. I know they did 2 years ago, and like all the Blue Jay hitters struggled with that change in the dimensions. But now if he's going to be there for the next 14 years, you got to tailor that ballpark so Vladimir Guerrero can hit 400 home runs, put together a Hall of Fame resume. You got to do whatever you need to do. Absolutely. I still think it's a waste of money. I think it's way too much money. It's at least $150 million too much money. And if I'm investing that kind of money in a guy, I want to see him at a prime position. I want to see him in peak health all the time. I just don't. I don't see those things from. Does he have all the upside in the world? Does he have all the right genes? Yeah, of course he does. So we'll talk about Vladdy. Well, we've talked about Vladdy. If you have any opinions, you have any thoughts, feel free to drop them in the comments, in the chat. Let's see what else. Big news just broke with Justin Steele. Justin Steele is done for the year, pitcher for the Cubs, number 2 pitcher, fantastic pitcher. Really had a strong second half of the year last year, but he's done. He is absolutely done, and that's unfortunate. Here we go. So he's going to undergo season-ending elbow. That typically sounds like Tommy John, but they're not using that terminology. So let's see whether or not still will full Tommy John surgery or instead undergo an internal brace procedure is not yet clear. All right. But what we do know is that Justin Steele is done for the year. So for those of you playing best ball, you're taking a 0 the rest of the way. For those of you playing So Rare, go ahead and seal up your Justin Steeles. You are absolutely done. Chris Sale is a guy who concerns me right now. He got hit hard in Tampa Bay again today. His velo was down in his last start. He's obviously a guy who's dealt with injuries throughout his career, and I do not feel overly confident. Now, I'm not a guy who, when it comes to best ball, I'm not a guy who drafts Chris Sale typically anyway. Obviously, the upside is huge, but the downside, it's so hard to draft a guy high knowing that there is going to be that injury opportunity. So I do think Chris Sale is one of those guys I typically tend to shy away from. I have very minimal exposure, likely less than 1% exposure on a guy like Chris Sale this year. But on Sorare, you're rolling the dice. You can stash him away if he does go down. But at the end of the day, if you're trying to play money ball on Sorare, you got to take guys who are going to be out there every single time, single day. That's what you have to do. If you have those high end Maserati, Ferrari type pieces, then you can do that. And if he goes down, you got what you got. But I'm a little concerned about Chris Sale. Yeah, B Green, you're absolutely right. Cy Young hangover. It's not the first time, but we do know that he is a bit fragile, and that's tough for this Braves team because they just cannot seem to get it going right. Marcell Ozuna was pulled out from the game today. We have not heard any news as to why yet, but he got pulled from the game in the 8th inning. You've got Spencer Strider, who's about to come back. Sean Murphy just came back. They lost Ronaldo Lopez for at least the next 3 months, if not the year. Spencer Strider's really close. Acuna is probably about 4 to 6 weeks away still. So, if you're watching the Braves, you're just not sure if you're supposed to buy or sell on the Braves right now. You know who the Phillies are, and Luzardo has looked amazing. You know who the Mets are. Obviously, a little concerned about their starting pitching, but their lineup has been solid. And you look at that and go, where do the Braves fit in? That is tough for the equation. But they still have Austin Riley, Matt Olson, Ozzie Albies. They have a ton of talent. And when you look at the back end of that lineup, even guys like De La Cruz, he's not necessarily a scrub. He's a solid third outfielder, bottom of the order guy. Remember in Miami, there was really nobody else there. So 3 and number 4 and number 5 guy, but realistically, he's not a bad piece there. I know people are worried that they lost Profar, but I hate to remind you, 2 years ago when Profar signed with Colorado, he was abysmal. So I know he had that big year with the Padres last year. We don't know if he was on drugs at that point, and then he just got popped. And, I always feel like when these guys get popped in the off season, they're just being lazy. Like, know when they're going to get tested. So the fact that flushing, like and by the way, Tatis and Profar are being best friends and then both getting popped is really ironic. But these guys got to be better at this. I mean, they really have to. And the fact that MLB knew, the PA knew, and assuming Profar knew, and he still signed that 3-year, $45 million Braves, I don't know how that contract isn't canceled. But no, that's baseball. I will say this. Tyler, what's cracking, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. Tyler, our resident Cubs fan. I will say this in regards to baseball and in regards to the commissioner, he should step down. And I have never been a huge Manfred fan, but I will tell you, he should absolutely step down. When I watch baseball right now and I see one team playing in a spring training ballpark that is the Yankees spring training ballpark, and it is absolutely the Yankee spring training ballpark. If you've watched any Rays games, it looks like they're playing in Yankee Stadium. It's a joke. And then you have another team. These are professional Major League Baseball teams. One's playing in a spring training stadium, and the other one's playing in a AAA stadium while the AAA team is there. This is embarrassing. How many teams right now don't even have a TV deal? It's a complete joke. Rob said absolutely should step down. And I know people are going to say, well, the owners, he's making hand over fist. It just shows you don't need to be smart. And not to say Rob Manfred's not smart. It's just he's made a lot of poor decisions right now. And baseball is doing well in spite of the fact that it has poor leadership right now. But he needs to go. He absolutely needs to go. Older. He's going to be out for 3 months. He did absolutely amazing. Oh, goodness. My connection is already unstable. Here we go. Hopefully we don't lose you guys. So anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about what was going on this week in baseball, but let's talk about what's coming up this week. So let's do a little preview for those of you playing fantasy baseball, for those of you playing Sorare, how this week is gonna look. So I'm going to start at the top and I'm going to go down. We're going to try to run through it fairly. Okay, so let's start with the A's this week. They have a fantastic matchup. 3 games, what we'll call the midweek. They've got 3 games. They're against the White Sox. They're in Chicago. I have not checked the weather starters this week. Arizona Diamondbacks are going to have to go from night, fly to Miami. They're going to face Meyer, who's been fantastic. Cabrera, who looked really good on Friday, and then Alcantara is going to throw on Thursday. That makes me a little concerned if you are starting any Diamondbacks. If you're starting Carroll or Naylor, it's all righties. Obviously, you're still going to start Carroll, but he might not be your number 1 guy, so to speak. He may not be on your championship number 1 team, but interesting matchup. Miami, obviously not the best place to hit in, but and you're not quite sure exactly what they're working with there. Okay, let's talk Braves. The Braves obviously have been a dumpster fire in terms of hitting right now. Their bullpen is atrocious. They're going to Toronto. Obviously, they didn't have a great homestand, or I shouldn't say they haven't had a great year, but they didn't have a great series against Tampa Bay, losing 2 out of 3. They're going to Toronto. Toronto is the first place team in the AL East right now. They're facing Lucas tomorrow, Bassett, who's thrown exceptionally well on Tuesday, and Wednesday's to be determined. I still like Atlanta. I'm probably going to be stubborn and be the last guy on the ship, but I still like Atlanta. Obviously, you need to watch Ozuna a little bit. You've got guys like Austin Riley and Matt Olson. They've got power to hit it out of anywhere, so I wouldn't be worried about that. Baltimore Orioles are going to stay at home. They're going to face Cleveland. Logan Allen, Gavin Williams, and Bybee are going to come into town. They've got 1 lefty. It's not a terrible matchup. It's not a great matchup. If you're the Orioles, I'm not hesitant to start any of these guys. Westy, Adley, Gunnar. Outside of that, you kind of pick your poison if you want to go Tyler O'Neill or Ryan O'Hearn. Interesting to see that O'Hearn's hitting 3rd right now, though. So we'll see if that sticks. Boston is going to go to Tampa Bay, and they're facing some decent arms in Tampa. Obviously, Shane Baz got moved from today to Monday. The Rays love to do that. I feel like there's certain teams like the Rays, the Dodgers, they love to push a guy last minute. And if you are a Sorare player, that is a nightmare. And I have always tried to avoid it at all costs, because the last thing you want is getting nuked by a manager who's handling their stud pitchers with kid gloves. But Boz gets moved. Pep Yoit's going to throw on Tuesday, and it looks like Lytle is going to throw on Wednesday, and then Taj Bradley will throw on Friday. Boston hasn't been able to hit. They had an amazing matchup this weekend in Chicago, and they couldn't hit, which is odd because a season that Boston and Chicago were going to have arguments against Chicago to Chicago. Talk about the Cubs. The Cubs are going to go down to San Diego. They're wrapping up their series tonight against the Dodgers. They're facing Glass, surprisingly good for the Padres, and then Nick Pivetta, who was absolutely lights out on Friday. Cubs have a tough matchup. They can stroke it though. Cease did struggle last start out against Sacramento, or in Sacramento. I'm not sure how we want to say that. Against the Athletics, and obviously Pivetta was great. Am I still starting Kyle Tucker? Absolutely. You're facing 3 right-handed hitters. Kyle Tucker is an absolute stud, one of the top players in baseball. The White Sox are going to be at home. They're facing the Athletics. They've got Springs, who's looked good so far. Beto and Sears, that's two lefties. It's a good start for Luis Robert, who seemed to wake up this weekend finally. For a guy who looked like he was being held hostage and had zero interest. Cincinnati is going to be at home against Seattle. I'm sure the Mariners hitters are excited to get out of there. Luis Castillo is going to return to Cincinnati. Nice little revenge game for him. You know what? Fantasy Pros has Kirby pitching on Wednesday. I don't know how accurate that is, but that's what they've got on the board. And then Bryce Miller on Thursday. If you're the Reds, I believe the Reds actually have the toughest match of the week. So not that you ever want to bench Ellie De La Cruz, but he's definitely not going to be your number one middle infielder this week. Guardians are going to go to Baltimore. Actually, you know what? Let me check in real quick with you guys. Sometimes I get on a roll and I do not check in. Okay, so let's see. Tyler's talking about Luis Robert, maybe linked to the Dodgers. I heard that this week too. Tommy Edman is playing fantastic, though. So do you really want to mess with that? Or are the Dodgers just trying to get everyone? Yeah, De Los Santos was with the Padres, and he's good until he's not. And you really have to play him in his spots. You cannot put De Los Santos in with runners on base. You just can't do it. I mean, you can, but he's going to let those runners score. That is the challenge. Okay, so let me get back in. So I periodically like to jump back, look at the comments, make sure we're engaging, jump back over. So that way we don't get too far off track. So Cleveland's going to go to Baltimore. Baltimore's starting pitching has not been great. Morton and Kramer are very hittable. Sagano, I like Sagano. I've not seen enough of him to have a strong opinion, but I do like what I've seen so far. Obviously, if you've got J-Ram, you're using him. If you've got Quan, you're using him. Oh my gosh, why am I having trouble thinking of their first baseman DH Manzardo? Man, I feel like Man was that guy. Lefties, it's all righties this week. So if you do have him, he's a sneaky solid play. The Rockies are going to go up to LA to face the Dodgers after getting shut out for an entire series against the Padres. They're going to face Dustin May, Wobleski, and Yamamoto. We know that the Rockies just continue to struggle hitting on the road. It looks even worse this year than normal for some reason, which is disappointing because I think most people felt like the Rockies offense has started to take a little bit of a step forward last year. Doyle and Tovar, Togley was looking good. We were hoping to see Beck kind of break through this year. McMahon is obviously streaky, but he's consistent year over year. He's just a streaky hitter in general. And you're kind of looking at that going, okay, the Rockies might not pitch, but they should be able to hit a little better on the road. And so far, unfortunately, it's just not happening. The Tigers got a 4-gamer this week. They're going to go into Milwaukee with one at the end against KC in Detroit. Great matchups for Detroit, though. They're facing Alexander, Priester, and Quintana. And we're back. All right. We're back again. All right, I think we're back. Let's find out. Let's see if this holds on. I actually switched networks. I have like 4 networks in my house. We'll see if this sticks. Anyway, if you jumped in, by the way, Eagle, good to see you, man. And B Green, thanks for the heads up on this. We did reload. I hope we didn't lose Tyler. Tyler is instrumental, but it is what it is. Let me go ahead and jump on. Give me a second here. Bear with me. I lost the screen. What are we doing? Here we go. James, my guy, what's up, man? We back. We are absolutely back. So let me jump on real quick. Bear with me. I hate this part. It's like doing a radio show and you're trying to look up something because your board op is terrible. All right. Whew. All right. Where were we? Where were we? Let me get back. By the way, appreciate seeing you guys in here. It's been too long. I know most of you that are big Sorare players do not jump in most of my best ball, the drafts, but I won't hold that against you. Where are we at? Okay, Angels. That's where we're at. Angels have great matchups. One lefty, two righties. Taylor Ward's been on fire. Mike Trout is obviously being Mike Trout right now. You ride that fish until that fish breaks. That is the way you do it with Mike Trout. Dodgers have an amazing matchup. They're playing Colorado. They did get their asses beat last night. We'll see how they bounce back tonight. I do expect, if I was making predictions, I do expect that Glasnow is going to throw fantastic. He'll pick up the Dodgers, save the bullpen, throw 7 scoreless with 1 walk, 2 hits, 10 strikeouts, and the Dodgers will probably win 6-0. I hope I'm wrong, but that's just kind of what it feels like. So then the Rockies are going to come to town. In a perfect world, if you're holding Rockies, you want the Cubs to be able to wear that bullpen out a little bit more before you show up to give you a shot. But if you're starting Dodgers, Freddie Freeman, fantastic. Ohtani, fantastic. You're always going to start those guys anyway. Max Muncy is an interesting start this week because Colorado is rolling all right-handed pitchers into LA. Miami's got it's not that tough. They've got Kelly and Rodriguez, one lefty. If you have any, I guess you're starting Xavier Edwards. It's not terrible. It's not great. Milwaukee has a really tough matchup this week. They're at home, but they're facing Detroit with Skubal, Flaherty, and Olsen. Olsen has been surprisingly good. Skubal is Skubal, and Flaherty is look great. Love what I'm seeing out of Flaherty so far this year. So you've got one lefty there. Otherwise, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Oh, my goodness. Peter Crow Armstrong just hit a home run. So there goes the prediction. Let's see. The Twins are going to be at home against the Mets. You've got Holmes, McGill, and Canning. That's a favorable matchup. It's all righties. So if you're starting Wallner, or if you're starting, I believe it's LaRouche, or even Julian, you should get 3 starts out of those guys. Are they going to hit? That's the big question. But for the most part, they're going to be at home. I'm probably staying away from most of these guys. You're filling them in like your 6th, 7th lineup, depending on your depth. The Mets on the other side of the field, in the other dugout, the Twins, it looks like they haven't announced their pitcher yet, whoever's going to fill in for Pablo Lopez. They are facing Joe Ryan and Ober. And then they've got Michaelis, who is typically pretty hittable, but looked great this weekend. But if you've got so it's not a great start if you've got Mets, but they're not facing any left-handed pitching. So Nimmo still looks great. Soto still looks great. You're probably looking at some other options over your number one at the corner spot over Alonso. Vientos is obviously continuing to struggle. Showed a little bit of life today. Seems like he likes to show a little life on the last game, like on Sunday, to make you feel like you should put him in your lineup on Monday. Okay, the Yankees, 4-gamer for the Yankees as well. They're facing Kansas City. They do not face Reagans, but they've got Lugo, Waka, Bubik, and Rasmussen. Bubik. Huh. Someone's going to have to correct me on this. I would consider it a middle-of-the-road matchup for the Yankees. If you have Judge, you're starting him. If you have Bellinger, it depends on, you probably have other options that are better. We're not quite seeing the same Lugo that we saw last year, so we'll have to see how that plays out. Philadelphia's got San Francisco. Now, obviously, San Francisco on the road. They did play the Yanks pretty rough this weekend, but they've got Rope, Verlander, Robbie Ray, and Jordan Hicks. I am not shying away from playing Phillies this weekend. Obviously, we need to look at the weather. It's going to be in Philadelphia. The weather in the Northeast was a little rough this weekend, but we'll take a look at the weather. I like Harper. I like Schwarber. Stott and Baum are obviously struggling, so I'm not necessarily touching those. Castellanos, a little bit up in the air. Pirates are going to face Washington. Pirates are a great start this week. If you got O'Neill Cruz, this is what you've been waiting for. Brian Reynolds, this is what you've been waiting for. They're facing Washington for all four. So they're facing Lord, Irvin, Parker, and Trevor Williams. Start your Pirates. Padres are going to face the Cubs. We'll see how the Cubs game goes tonight, but no day off for either team. They're going to face Talon, Imanaga, and Boyd. To me, that basically spells you're going to have two starts because Imanaga is just so good. So good. He's going to give you 6 innings. You got to get into the pen. Boyd has been surprisingly good. I know he had that blowout in like the 6th inning against the Dodgers, but I feel like he's been a pleasant surprise so far. Italian is pretty hittable. But if you're looking at that, Cubs are going to start 2 lefties. Padres are very right-handed heavy. Bogarts is even hitting 300 right now. The problem is Bogarts just doesn't get enough extra base hits, but he's hitting 300. He's putting up points. Tatis against 2 lefties. Machado against 2 lefties. I like the way that looks. Giants are going to go to Philly. We just talked about that. But the Giants are going to face Taijuan Walker, Luzardo, who's been amazing, Nola, who has looked pedestrian, and Sanchez, who's looked pretty damn good. I don't really like touching a lot of Giants this week. Even though it's a 4 start for the Giants, I mean, you could go with Ramos, but I just, when I look at this, it feels more like 2.5 starts instead of 4 starts this week. Seattle's going to go to Cincinnati. I always love when teams travel to Cincy. They are facing Lodolo, who's pitching out of his mind so far. I'm a big Lodolo guy. Nick Martinez and Singer on Wednesday, Thursday are both very hittable. So you've got 1 lefty and you've got 2 righties. Yeah, sure, you're starting Julio. You could start Raleigh, obviously switch hitter. You don't worry about that. But and they have a day off. So I think with a guy like Raleigh who DHs and catches, that day off on Monday really helps him out. St. Louis is going to be at home against Houston. St. Louis is rough because they're facing Fromber, Hunter Brown, Blanco, who I still don't know what to make out of him, and then Peterson, who's looked fantastic. Peterson with the Mets. So I should clarify. St. Louis has 3 at home against Houston. Thursday, they go on the road. They face Peterson in New York. I do not like St. Louis this week. So if you've got Contreras, if you've got Nootbaar, they're facing 2 lefties. If you've got Donovan, I'm not really feeling what St. Louis has got going on. I know it's a 4 start, but it could end up being a very disappointing 4 start. Tampa Bay also with a 4 start and fantastic matchups. You've got Hawk and Buehler, although Buehler looked like Cy Young last time out. Newcomb with Boston, that's their lefty. And then they're going to face the Yanks on Thursday with Warren. So you got 3 righties and a lefty. If you've got Brandon Lowe, it's a solid start. But there's just not a lot of great pieces. Caminero, I would start him absolutely this week. I would rank him very high and start him if you had him this week. But there's just not a lot of great pieces on Tampa that you're going to want to throw in here, even though it's a 4-gamer and it's a great matchup. And part of that reason is because Kevin Cash likes to platoon guys too often. So it's real easy to turn a 4-game week into a 3-game week because he wants to give a guy a rest or because he doesn't like the righty-lefty matchup. So you just hate to see that happen. The Rangers are going to play at home against the Angels. We talked about that. They are facing Kikuchi. Kikuchi is really solid, but he's not dominant, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. Soriano has been pretty impressive so far. And then a guy, I cannot say his name, Kachanowicz, I want to say. I'm sure you guys will correct me in the comments. But Texas is great. 1 lefty, 2 righties. Sure, Young looks good so far. Young looks good so far. If you've got Corey Seager, Simeon had a day off today, so he's going to get 2 days. He should be good for all three. Garcia, if you want those home runs, it's not a great matchup, but it's not a bad matchup either. Toronto is going to face Atlanta. Atlanta is going to be in Toronto. They're facing Holmes and Elder, but in the middle there on Tuesday, they're going to face Schellenbach, and he has been exceptional. So I'm not let me check something real quick. Bear with me here. Strider's going to throw on Wednesday, not Elder. So it's going to be Holmes, Schellenbach, and Elder. I'm sorry, and Elder. And Strider, I would not expect Strider to go deep into that game. You might only see him throw 3 or 4 innings. So it's possible they could use Elder to come in after Strider, but not that you're going to start Elder. Gosh, I hope not. But Toronto does not look like a good start at all. If I'm trying to think, Santander is kind of your lefty, but do you really want to start up against Schellenbach and Strider? No, not really. You might just keep him for your dailies and use him on Monday. Washington, last team. The Nats have they've got a 4-gamer this week. They're all against Pittsburgh, which is very favorable, but they play Skeens to start the week. So you've got to kind of take that game, extrapolate it out, and feel like they've got 3 games that are favorable matchups. We don't know what we're going to get out of Keller on Tuesday, but Falter and Heaney, very hittable left-handed pitchers. Challenges, C.J. Abrams went down with an injury. So you're looking at Nathaniel Lau. You're looking at Josh Bell and James Wood. I don't know the splits off the top of my head. I like Wood. I would still start Wood, but you got to kind of find out and see where he's going to land. So anyway, let me jump back in here. Okay, here we go. So what do I have going on? Let's take a quick look at this real quick. Quick look. And by the way, so I'm gonna preface this real quick. Most of you know, last year I stepped away from Sorare, and it's not because of you guys, because I love you guys. You guys are great, and you make it more fun to play. I think operationally, it was in a bad place. I didn't feel that leadership was doing the right things. I didn't feel like they were qualified or competent, and it wasn't worth it for me to have essentially a brand new Toyota Camry invested into a bunch of digital trading cards. So I stepped away, and I dove in real deep into best ball. I played common a little bit. Not going to lie, I did play a little bit. The common game is not rewarding in the least. So playing common does not necessarily motivate you to jump into spending money and buying limited cards or go back into so super rare and unique like I was. But I looked at the roadmap this year, and I have to admit I wasn't overly impressed. But as someone who didn't have a bag, didn't really have any interest, wasn't a big deal. With that being said, I still feel like I communicate with a lot of the So Rare community, and part of me feels like I never left. So I made the decision about 4 days before opening day that I was going to come back. But I didn't want to come back and have it be a big thing. And I definitely didn't want guys at So Rare taking a victory lap because I came back, because they're definitely not the reason I came back. And don't get me wrong, I love John. I think Damien's a really sharp guy, but they're definitely not the reason I came back. I came back because my online friends play and I miss playing with them. So you guys are the problem because you brought me back into the fold. Yes, I am back. I am back. Ace is back, but I also didn't want it to be a big thing. I didn't want to have to be Ace. Eagle sniffed me out, and for those of you who don't know, I am Don't Make It Weird, and I felt like that was an appropriate name because hey, I'm back, but don't make it weird. Like I just want to be one of the guys. I just want to play. I'm not trying to run the company, although I could, and much better than it's being run. But that wasn't what I was trying to do. And like I said, I do like John. I do like Damian. There's definitely some things that could still be improved, but for the most part, super happy that I'm playing again with you guys. And I have to tell you, although here, let me share the screen. Whoa, I'm real big again. Where are we at here? Here we go. I'm doing okay this week. So I'm in third right now in All-Star. I finished first in All-Star last week. Some of you sniffed that out. Eagle in particular sniffed it out. Man, I'm just trying to be part of the crew, and you know I can't just blend in, I guess. But right now I've got, let's see, I'm 7 points away. That team is pretty much toast. I've got a tier 3 right here, thanks to the A's bullpen imploding in the 9th. And I've got a podium right now that I think I'm probably going to lose. But I'm probably going to end up finishing 4th in there because of Peter Crow Armstrong's home run. And then I've got, I actually have glass now. So my championship teams, I have to tell you guys, I am really out of practice. I really have had a hard time trying to figure out my lineups. And a big reason why is because the way it was set up before, it was much easier to set lineups. And now, and you notice for the most part, almost all my cards are in-season cards. And I did that on purpose. But I guess a couple things I should probably point out. I have 1,600 energy. So what I did is when there was the buying frenzy. Now, by the way, I was pissed, absolutely pissed that Sorare screwed up on the promotion because I had purchased over 100 rare cards. And to find out that they advertised 10%, that was a big reason why I started buying, because otherwise I had contemplated coming back in, but I wasn't going to come back in until this week, because this week is typically when prices really start to crater. So that was my plan. I'm going to come back, like, if I'm going to come back, I'll come back like mid-April when prices are cratering and guys are starting to win cards they already have. And that was my plan. Then I looked into that promo and I was like, you know what? I could really take advantage of this because I can buy a bunch of these cards for $5, $6, $7, pick up energy, pick up essence, craft, maybe even win a card. And I was able to do that. And I have, so I was talking to B Green, and B Green was killing it. I mean, he had been crafting some awesome cards. I started getting some FOMO, and I started buying a bunch of cards, a bunch of rare cards. And yes, I had purchased over 100 rare cards. And then they said, oh, we're only going to give essence to like the first 21 cards, which was like a huge FU. But it helped me remember why I left, because what they should have done is just ran the numbers and then gave essence per card you bought, and not had it like, they could have done it by 10. That would have made more sense. They shouldn't have capped it, but they could have just done it per card. And that would have been the easiest way to break it out. But they didn't. They rewarded people more heavily that bought 21 cards and rewarded people who bought more cards less heavily. That's just the way Sorare has always worked, unfortunately. They don't take care of the people who spend the most. I know that. I swallowed it. I didn't pitch a huge fit about it. But I was pretty salty about it because I got cheated out of like 8,000 essence. Actually, no, I'm sorry. It was like 11,000 essence I got cheated out of. So could have had a 10 more crafts. Either way, I would really hope that they're going to make some fantastic improvements over the next month. We'll have to see how this plays out. I am really excited to see. I know Eagle has been killing it. My guy Zuby, as usual, has been killing it. Tyler, I keep seeing you up on the ranks. I know it's really hard for me to just play rare, and you guys are probably a little surprised. Like, one, if you didn't know I was back, like, oh, Steve's back. Okay, either yay or oh crap. But it is so cool to see you guys win. And I know I'm not going to win every week. That's just the way it goes. And rare is a lot more competitive than super rare, but I wanted to minimize my risk. And you can play rare, and I'm putting together freaking 8 lineups for bi-weekly and still 2 on daily. It takes so much time. I probably spend 3 to 4 hours on my freaking lineups. I can't imagine somebody who spends 3 to 4 hours on their lineups and doesn't win anything. Like this, I don't think these guys understand how much time you have to put in. And I know Sam in my Discord was talking about, like, you got to like apply the XP and you got to do this. And there's so many loops that you have to jump through right now. And obviously you guys can see everything on the board right now. Like, this is what I have. So I've got some XP. I crafted a card last week that was dog shit. Some like middle relief guy for the Tigers. But so what I wanted to do is I wanted to stack as much energy as I could. And my plan was I would stack a ton of energy and then I would just buy studs. So I would just buy the guys that I didn't necessarily want to buy. I didn't want to buy in season, like the Otanis and the Judges and the Tuckers. And so you can see my challenger team. Those are most of my in-season cards. So I've got Devers and Contreras and Judge and Tucker. I've got Duran, who's kind of useless. I don't really want to waste 25 energy to play Duran. I did last week, and you live and learn. But you have to manage your energy efficiently. So I've been trying to work on that. But obviously, I have a ton of energy. Because I bought those cards during the promotion on purpose. And my goal was to buy enough energy to coast me through 3/4 of the season and then try to just win the rest of the energy to keep rolling, but also buy enough new cards. So when they rolled out whatever they're going to do, monthlies or specials, that I assumed, and I guess I should never assume with So Rare, right? I should assume that they're going to require only in-season cards for a lot of these newer contests. Now, I could be wrong, and there could be energy involved, and that's fine. That's why I stockpiled energy. But this was my approach. And now I've got 200 cards. I've tried to make sure that I've got a decent amount of collection bonus on guys. I guess I can show you. So when I finished first last week, actually, I think I won by like 20 points. But initially, it was only because Iglesias came in and threw for the 3rd consecutive day, which was ridiculous. But you can see here. Let me show you a good example. So I've got this Jordan has got 21% bonus. So I've made sure I've tried to maximize my team bonus, trying to use my XP in the right places. By all accounts, this team should have been phenomenal. But Harper dropping 17 and Witt dropping 20 did not work out well. So anyway, guys, I'm back, and I'm happy to be able to play with you guys and compete with you. And I'm so excited to see how successful that you guys have been. I know Taylor has been killing it too. I don't want to leave anybody out, but it does look like a lot of the guys in our Discord and a lot of guys that I keep up with on Twitter are doing doing great. So I'm excited about that. I'm trying my best, and B Green, man, you're the best. You do a great job of reminding me not to buy any blue cards. I'm just trying to play rare. I'm just trying to have a good time, and I have been. I have been. So I don't know if my podium will stick this week. I don't think it's going to, but finishing first last week and winning in a second Ellie De La Cruz was fun. And I won a Bo Bichette like the week before that, which was great. It's a second Bo Bichette. He's available for trade, by the way. I don't need a second Bo Bichette. I crafted an Ellie De La Cruz, so I have two now. I'm open to trading one, potentially, with Bichette and a couple other guys if somebody wants to trade an Ohtani. And I think I have a Ketel Marte that I despise. Most of you guys remember I'm not a big Marte fan. He owes me money. I also think he's just a piece of shit, but personally, because I've had to deal with him. So anyway, guys, I'm back. Let's see. What are you guys talking about here? Yeah, we back. Tyler finished third last week behind me. Yes, you did. Nice to share the podium with you, though. Would have won champ 2 weeks ago. Man, watching you guys 2 weeks ago, I know B Green was right in the mix on that, finished third. And he's talking about that. He got third. He was in first, and then all of a sudden he wasn't. And that is such a terrible feeling, right? Like you're watching the game. It's the last game of the week. And all of a sudden you're just powerless, and some team just starts going nuts and you drop. And sometimes you're in the clubhouse and there's just nothing you can do, which is basically what's happening to me right now. Surprised how many people weren't on parades this week. So Tyler, here's the thing. You shouldn't be surprised that so many people were on parades this week, because you're setting 8 lineups. Like, how many people have all those cards? Like, if you're using new cards, that's what, 56 cards? And granted, there's probably a ton of like 2 pitcher lineups. Like, I know I put together a couple 2 pitcher lineups, 2 starter lineups, but a lot of people just don't have. The average user right now that's playing rare is not going to have 75 to 80 cards, new cards, in-season cards. And they're probably starting to run a little low on energy. So they've got to be a little picky. So yeah, that's why everybody was using Paredes. If it was like last year when we only had to put you only got 1 champ team and 1 all-star team and, an NL and an AL team, then you probably just would have seen a bunch of Paredes in like an AL team, or people would have had them in Sandlot. But because we put together so many freaking teams, it's going to be hard to ever see. And I'm willing to take a look at this. I'm going to assume that most of the lineups that had Paredes were not the number 1 lineup that person submitted. Now, everybody submits their lineups different. Like, for example, my rare champion team is actually my number 1 team, but I had to reshuffle because I was trying to figure out if frickin' Tatis was going to play, and I couldn't get an answer. And of course, we were at Costco when lock was happening, so I couldn't figure out how to set my lineup properly. So I'm literally in the optical section with my girlfriend while she's picking out new glasses, trying to, okay, can I put Tatis in? What do I do if I get him in last minute? Like, how do I set this up? So my number 1 team is not great. Now, I did think Burns was going to pitch better in a little revenge game against Milwaukee, and that did not play out well for him. And Detroit had a great matchup this weekend, and Green and Carpenter, especially Green, just laid an egg. Turner had a great matchup. He laid an egg. So it didn't work out the way I wanted it to. So normally my number 1 team is number 1, and I think for most of us it is, right? But this week, because I wasn't doing it on hand, I had my number 3 team. This is my race, my Brave stack. I thought they were going to play better in Tampa, but apparently they do suck. So what are you going to do? I really thought Gilbert was going to get closer to 40. Needed him to get closer to 40. Real quick, let me take a quick look at this. So anyway, guys, yeah, I'm back. I'm not planning on being ace. I'm not going to run paid content. I think that's just I'll just say it's not for me. Um, if you're in my Discord and you want to talk and you have questions, I'm happy to share stuff with you, but I'm not going to run paid content. Okay, so 1-1 game in the bottom of the fourth right now. I do have an extra Colin Ray. I guess this is a good time to try to sell it for $10, since he's on national TV and people get caught up in the moment. So Glass now is only allowed 2 hits. One of them was the home run, 4 strikeouts, and 1 walk. I don't know if that's going to do it. Well, we'll find out. So anyway, guys, let me catch up here. Settle for third. Yes. Aethers. I'm back, man. I'm back. Super rare prize pools. Yeah. Be green. You are 100% right. The super rare prize pools are garbage. It doesn't motivate me at all. I almost bid on a super rare card today. And I took a look at the prize pools for rare all-star because I do have enough rare studs that I could blend in and put together an all-star team pretty easy. And I have 500 energy, like super rare energy to burn, right? No, maybe 250. No, I have 500 super rare energy to burn. So why not? And then I looked at the prize pools, and the prize pools are garbage. Here, we'll take a look. It's like, do you even want people to play here? So basically, if you finish in the top 3 out of what I assume are probably 65 to 80 people, hey, if you're playing Super Rare Eagle, if you're still in here, because I know you're playing Super Rare All-Star, Be Green, you might. How many people are in Super Rare All-Star this weekend? Because we all know a tier 4, 9 weeks out of 10 is going to be useless. So yeah, maybe you hit the 4 gamer, maybe you get lucky, maybe it's a relief pitcher, but you're telling me I'm going to finish in 4th place and get a tier 4 at a super rare? There's just no. What's the point? Forget it. 67. So you got to finish in 3rd, right? So what is that? 0.5%? You got to finish in the top 0.5% to get a tier 3 or better? No, that's garbage. That is not motivating. So I don't expect the guys on server to watch this, but I will tell you, if you want people to use, if you're using All-Star to transition people from rare to super rare, it's the prizes are not motivating enough to make that financial commitment to jump. So just keep that in mind. So John, Damien, I don't expect you guys are watching. We're an hour in on this thing. But if you want that to happen and that's your goal, you guys really have to reevaluate the rewards. You really have to, because these rewards are garbage. So I'm sticking at rare. Where are we at? Can you guys even see this? The screen looks terrible. Oh, there we go. So here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to post my cheat sheet. Let me run through the rest of this. Yeah, Be Green, you're absolutely right. We need Tatis when you can buy $5 chicken. Who needs Tatis when you can buy a $5 chicken? You're right, man. That pizza is good too. My favorite thing about Costco, and y'all can chime in on this. My favorite thing about Costco, bar none, I feel like it's worth the membership. $1.50 hot dog and a soda. Worth the membership. $1.50 hot dog and a soda. I will eat enough samples and enough hot dog and soda combos to make my $50, $65 back on my annual membership at Costco. Absolutely. $1.50 hot dog and a soda. And it's a good hot dog. It is legit. Every time I go in, I'm like, where do you get these hot dogs? I want to make these hot dogs at home. And they use the Francisco buns. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Let's see. Tyler Tatis, Soto, and Alonso and Scott with 240. And they only put up 7 points today. Oh, yeah, Hunter Green, man, I love Hunter Green. Hey, Eagle, thanks for giving me that. James, you think it's going to drop off this week? Okay, James, I'm going to need more. What do you think is going to drop off and why? Tell me. Now, in fitting fashion, I have been tracking everything because you guys know that's what I do. What was really interesting is heading into, are we in game week 4 or game week 5? People running out of energy. I'm waiting for people to run out of energy because, as you guys can see, I stockpiled it. So I'm ready to whoop that ass. SR All-Star will drop. Okay. All right. I see what you guys are saying. I'm still not buying in, though. The prizes are terrible. Like, if I had a 5% chance to win a T3, then okay, sure. 5% chance. I'm interested. I like to gamble. I'm a bit of a degenerate. I'm into. Why is there an alert? Did I get outbid on somebody? I did. Somebody outbid me on Lawrence Butler. What's wrong with you? Son of Thor. Thor bids on everything. Excuse me. I do, I hate having this energy because you feel like you got to use it, right? The energy I shouldn't say it should expire. I'd love to be able to sell or trade the energy. I wish it had some sort of currency, but obviously it was free too. So you can only ask for so much. What game week are we in? Are we in 4 or are we in 5? I'm trying to get there, but I know you guys are always faster than me. Okay, so we're in 5 right now. I did not, shame on me, I did not update this because we saw a nice jump last week, 15% jump across the board, and we're seeing that hold this weekend. So really interesting with the amount of people. Obviously, week 1 was huge, 531. Everybody's using that energy. And then dunked down to 407, and now it's up to 457. All-Star went from 442 to 344, now it's up at 371. Challenger actually started low because a lot of those people were using their players in Champion with all that free energy. So it went 1114, 1225, and a little bitty dip, and now it's at 1242. So this was the first week I actually tried to win some energy. Most of the time I just put in crappy lineups to try to win a little energy, and I'm going to win 100 energy. I sealed a card that was in a challenger lineup last week. Not last week, last game week. On Thursday, when Pablo Lopez was going to go on the IL, I was like, oh, I'll just seal him. And I blew right through the warning and lost 25 energy. I shouldn't say I lost 25 energy. I didn't win that 25 energy because he was in a lineup. And I'm like, oh, don't do that again. That was not smart. So I'm screwing up and I'm learning all this stuff just like you guys are, probably at a much slower pace. Can use a decent amount if you're picking up 100 to 150. So, and we'll see. I mean, it's interesting. I know we were talking about this in the Discord, like everybody kind of has their version of So Rare that they like. I prefer season 2. I think that was my favorite. It was the simplest, and we had money. Obviously I can't even remember who was running it at that point. It wasn't Spooner, but whatever asshat was running it, just going nuts on the super rares. He just ruined the super rare that season, unfortunately. But that was my favorite version of contests. The money blend, the cards weren't too heavy. Now it's like I jump in here and there's so many moving pieces that it's hard to do it on a casual basis. It almost feels like a full-time job trying to set all this stuff up. I only try to use 6 a week since I can make 6 players a week. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know much about the chase comps that you guys had last year because keep in mind, I basically just threw a Texas stack together for like a month, and then I was like, this is boring. So I missed out on what happened. And the challenge is, there are certain people who are always positive about whatever Sorare has got going on. And I do realize that there are people who have a vested interest in kind of pumping what comes out of Sorare. So you got to take that with a grain of salt. But it seems like most of the people were bad committed, so they're just kind of along for the ride. And I feel like last year they did a good job at letting people know, like, all these old cards are going to get nuked. So just be ready for that. And so when I go in the Discord this year, people are complaining that the old card are even more nuked. I'm like, yeah, no shit. June one, it was $7,500. What? Dude, that's amazing. That's awesome. So anyway, let me wrap this up, guys. It's been an hour. I don't know how often I can jump on and do these previews, and normally it looks like they take about a half hour. I do really enjoy jumping in with you guys. I have to admit, if you're watching this and you're part of the Twitter community, I don't normally go on and tweet very much. And I'm on my personal account more than anything, and I don't tweet very much. I'm just kind of on there to catch up with current events. So I would highly suggest, if you're not in my Discord yet, then hit me up and ask for a link. I guess I could probably put it in right now, right? Because that's where boys are. That's where we do all the talking, and that's the most fun for sure. All right, let me edit this link so it doesn't expire. Never. And I'm gonna put this link in here. So this Discord is and just to preface it, because we do have in there, this Discord was originally the unofficial Topps NFT Discord when Topps rolled out Series 1. And then eventually Topps started their own Discord, and I managed that Discord for about 6 months for them out of the kindness of, until they finally hired some people, and then a bunch of collusion happened. People got fired, blah, blah, blah. Similar to what happened with Top Shot, except like it's Topps, so nobody cared. The guy who started this Discord was really pissed because he was like a wax maxi. And when Topps left and basically abandoned Series 1 and went over to their own website, I can't even remember what crypto base they were using. When they did that, the guy didn't even want to do it anymore. He wanted to sell it to somebody else who was going to run like a wax project. And I said, no, I bought it from him. I can't remember how much I paid him, like $250 or something. Because I didn't want the Discord to go anywhere. And it's obviously really important for those of us who still hold Series 1, but I've built the Discord out to include all these other projects we did. Some of them going better than others, like photo finish for horse racing, and we had Candy in there, and we still had the multiple top sites, and we had Rainmakers, and we have Sorare. We have all these layers in the Discord as things have moved along, but it is referred to as the OG. So when you click on it, you'll see that. But that's kind of where all the boys are. So, and I don't necessarily share a ton of stuff in there, but if you have questions, I'm happy to help. But there's a lot of guys in there who win a ton. So it's not just having me in there. Eagle's great. He's in there all the time. Taylor's in there. Sam is in there. Will is in there. I mean, there's a great group of guys who are in there who are happy to answer your questions and give you their feedback. So anyway, and gosh, we've all been together through so many different projects for like 4 years. It's wild. Okay, so let me wrap this up because apparently I'm having a hard time saying goodbye. But it's great seeing you guys. If you're still in here and you haven't pounded the like button, do that. Share it everywhere. Scream it from the rooftops, the mountaintops. Ace is back. I'm playing rare. Back again. And I'm looking forward to having a good time with you guys this season. We'll see how things play out after that. So anyway, hope you guys have a good one. Have a good night and good luck. Good luck wrapping up tonight and good luck this game week. See ya.